Hi, welcome everyone to the overview of MyGiving.Online and the why to upgrade from Donations Coordinator to MyGiving.Online. So my name's Stephen and I'll be going through this overview presentation today with you. So what we'll be covering in today's webinar, if I click on next, so what we've got that's new and improved over from Donations Coordinator. So Donations Coordinator has been out for a number of years now, so obviously we've listened to users over that time. We've improved and developed the program into MyGiving, and we've put in those features that people have suggested over the years. We've actually included those into MyGiving.Online. The program MyGiving also integrates with our membership system automatically. So my membership, it will integrate to that. So when you add members into my membership, if you want, you can have them appear or automatically in MyGiving, and vice versa. Donors that you add in, if they choose to also become members or you want to add them to your membership list, you can do that at the click of a button. Or they can just appear automatically for you. And the integration My Fund Accounting is very similar to the integration that Donations Coordinator had to Finance Coordinator, but it's done automatically for you. So instead of having to create a file and upload that into Finance Coordinator, you can now just select an option and just say, just do this integration, transfer the donations into my account system automatically. And overnight, all those donations that you receive during the day will appear in the account system, myfundaccounting.online. And then we'll go through some of the new and additional features that are in MyGiving that we never had in Donations Coordinator. So creating users, restricting their access, so the ability to turn menu options on and off, which wasn't in the standard version of Donations Coordinator. New import facilities, so importing from bank statements, importing from Just Giving and other platforms. Different donate buttons, so for credit card, debit card, PayPal, Stripe, direct debits, and open banking, direct bank transfers, all of those. And then additional features such as notifications. We've further developed thank you letters, so it's more flexible than it was in Donations Coordinator. We put some charts and graphs to give some useful statistical information. And also, because we want to keep developing our software, we've actually put a suggestion box in the software as well. So as you're using the software, you think, oh, this would be a good idea. You can click on the suggestion box. You don't need to come out of the program, send an email. You can just click on the suggestion box, type in the suggestion, and that goes straight through to our developers. And we look at each and every suggestion that comes in. So that's what we'll be going through today. So I'm going to stop that for a moment, and then I'm going to screen share to MyGiving. Okay, just before I start on MyGiving, I should just point out on the webinar, it's a bit different to Teams or Zoom. You can't just raise your hand to ask a question. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But what we've got on the right hand side is a chat window. So if you have any query, please feel free to use the chat facility. There are members of staff in the office that are monitoring the chat. So if you do have any queries, please pop them into the chat and they will respond to or message me with the queries, because I can't see the chat as I'm doing the presentation. Also, if you can't stay for the full presentation, the webinar is actually recorded, and anywhere between about 2 hours and 24 hours after the end of the webinar, you'll receive an automated email from us with a replay link. It is an automated email, so it might disappear into your spam or your deleted folders. So if you haven't received it in the next 24 hours, just check your spam or deleted folder. It might be in there, but that enables you either to rewatch part of the webinars if you want to, or if you're unable to stay to the end, you can then watch it at a more convenient date for you, or more convenient time for you. Okay, so this is MyGiving. So when you log in with your user ID and password, so we can see my user's OUser up there, we'll give you the main admin user will give the login to, and then this is where you log in, and this will be your landing page. This is where the screen that comes up when you've entered your login details. Now we give it to the admin users, the person that registers with us, but they can obviously create as many different users as you wish. We don't limit on how many users you can have. You can set up the permissions. They can have access to this part but not to that part. They can enter a donation maybe but can't see the donors or can't make a claim. Things like that. We turn off different screens and you have that control to do that. So we'll have a look at all of that later on. So first of all, let's have a look. So this is my landing screen. If I go to donor records, we'll just go through and you'll see that MyGiving looks similar. The way it's laid out is similar to Donations Coordinator. So if you used a Donations Coordinator, you'll be very familiar with the look and feel of MyGiving, but it's been given a modern refresh on there. So if I scroll down a bit, you can see similar to Donations Coordinator, we've got the list of donors on the left-hand side. We've got the name and address information for the HMRC on the left, and then we've got additional information on the right-hand side if you get that from your donor. So home phone number, mobile number, email address, etc. At the bottom screen, again, same as we had in Donations Coordinator, we've got all the donations, however they come in. So whether you enter them manually, whether they come in through a Donate Now button, which we'll go through a bit later on. So if somebody makes a donation on the Donate Now button, it will appear automatically on their donor record. If they've given manually and they've entered a donation, a one-off donation maybe on the Donate Now button, as long as they put the same name and address in, the program will match the two together and will add their donation to their existing records. So you don't end up with duplicate or multiple records for the same donor. It's all put down on one donor record, which means that when you send a thank you letter out, it's much more concise, accurate, and up to date for that donor. And then you can see we've got the personal details tab. If I click onto the declarations, defaults, and pledge tab, you can see again it's got the same sort of feel as Donations Coordinator. The declaration details, donor default details, pledge information. If donors pledge to give certain amounts, monthly, weekly, you can put that pledge in, etc. But we do have a couple of additional features. So you can see here we've got an archive declaration, and down here we've got a declaration detail. And that's really for those donors that might make several different pledges. So maybe they've visited the church, the charity, completed a one-off envelope, you've entered their declaration detail. Maybe they come back again in a couple of months or later on in the year. They give another one-off donation. You've got declaration details for those. So in MyGiving, you can put the first declaration in with their donation, and then if they come back again, when you enter the next donation, you can archive the existing one and enter the next declaration. It means that under the declaration history, you'll build up a record of all those declarations, all those one-off envelopes that they've given. When MyGiving submits a claim to the HMRC, we check the donation against the active declaration and all those in the declaration history, so we don't miss out any potential gift aid that can be claimed on eligible donations. We check the declaration, we check the history, but it means you've got a full audit log of all of your declarations, which if the HMRC come and inspect, they'd expect to see, but it's actually contained in the software to make it easier for you. You'll also see at the top of the screen, we've got a login details. So we also have, in addition to the cloud-based software, we have a mobile app for MyGiving. So you can decide if you wish, the app is mainly for donors. So you can decide if you want to give donor access to that app. If you do, you give them a user ID and password. They can download the MyGiving app from the Android store and the iOS and the Apple store. It's free of charge. They can download it, log in with the details that you give, and all they'll be able to see is their donor record. So they can see the declarations, the address that you've got. They can see all the previous donations that they've made. If they want, they can make further donations through the debit or credit card through the app, and they will appear automatically in the software. if their declaration has run out, for example, they can sign a new declaration for the app. If they need to put the tax information, how much they've donated and gift had been reclaimed, they can get a report from the app. If they need that for their tax return, they can get a report from the app, and that will show them everything they've done broken down by each tax year. So they've got all the information that they need listed down there. Contactless card, that will be coming out because we've changed how we integrate with contactless systems. So we integrate with a software called Give a Little, and that works with sum up devices. So if you've got a sum device, say a collecting device, it runs with a sum up and it's used as the software Give a Little. You can connect that into MyGiving. So all the donations, the anonymous donations for GADs, the gift aided donations can all come into MyGiving, and you can submit the claim to HMRC through MyGiving, and also produce consolidated thank you letters for each donor. So it contains all the information where that donor is given contactlessly, online or cash. You can record all that, you can capture all that information and send them accurate thank you letters. So if I go back to the personal tabs for bottom for the moment, and at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that we've got a couple of other extra tabs down here. So under regular gifts, if this person signed up as a regular gift, a standing order or direct debit, that would appear down in this regular gifts tab. So you can see if a donor's got a regular gift, or if they've got multiple regular gifts, if they're given to different purposes within your organisation, you can see the setup, how much they give, how frequently they give, whether you can claim tax on it, and then when you receive each donation, that will then appear in the gifts tab. So you can see this is what we should receive. Have we actually received it? Just on the donor screen. There are other places in the program you can see those as well. But if you're on a donor record, you've got the information to capture there. You'll also see that we've got an additional column, claimed externally. So that's for those occasions where you want to bring all the donations for a donor into one place to send them a thank you letter, but actually you might have claimed on a donation outside of MyGiving. Probably the best example to give is if you've got a fundraising page through Just Giving, then you can import the donations from Just Giving into MyGiving, but Just Giving would have claimed on those donations outside of the program. It has its own claiming process for those. So when the donations come into MyGiving, you want to ensure that they're not claimed on again. You don't want to double claim on a donation. So those donations for Just Giving and other systems like the Parish Giving Scheme, those will automatically be marked as claimed externally. So MyGiving knows it's not to claim on those. It's just received here just for reporting purposes and primarily for thank you letters. Okay, so I mentioned a moment ago that you can integrate MyGiving directly with my membership, and it's the name and address information that will be shared, the common information shared between the two. Now, if you have access rights to MyGiving and to my membership, then you can also decide to show the donations in my membership. So when you're in my membership, if you have permission to see the donations, you'll see an extra tab, which is a bit like one of these, and it have donations next to it. So if you're in my membership, if you're doing all the wonderful things that you can do in my membership, rotas, reports, labels, etc., groups, on that screen you can see the up-to-date donation information pulled in from MyGiving. Also, if you're on the other side, let's say you're in my membership and you're notified that somebody's moved house, you can update the record in my membership. The record will automatically be updated in MyGiving. So it's got that integration, that full integration between the two. Okay, so let's go back to the main screen for a moment. So one of the things that we've also done, it really came out of the change when we did the changeful GADs in Donations Coordinator, we kind of added on multiple branches. So if you had a number of community buildings, you could sort of add those additional branches into Donations Coordinator, so you could claim on those community buildings. So we've developed and expanded that in MyGiving, which was particularly useful when it came to COVID, when donate now buttons, people wanted donations buttons onto their website. So how we've changed the structure, we've now got almost a 3-level structure. You have your organisation, and then underneath that you have different charities. They're your legal level. They're the level that you'd have your HMRC registration at. And then under each each charity, so we've got Data Ends, Hope and Test. Under each one you can then have branches, and they could be individual churches, individual charity branches, Wolverhampton branch, Walsall branch, Dudley branch, etc. So you can have donors within each branch, and then you can either claim on them as a branch, depending on how you're registered with HMRC, or if you've got a group, a parish, for example, and your legal structure is a parish, you can have each church as a branch. You can have people responsible, and just those ones are just the ones that are visible for the donors within each branch, so they can see the donors within their church, within their branch. They can record the donations. Nobody else can see, nobody else can have access to that information. They'll just be the ones that see it. And then either they will submit the claims if they've got the permissions to do so, or the parish person or the giving person responsible for those different branches can then come in at a group level, at a charity level, and submit either consolidated claims to the HMRC, or can do it for each branch. If you do consolidated claim, then each church or branch will be updated, and the reports produced will say, these are all the donations for this church, this is the amount of gift aid that's for that one, these are all the donations for this second branch, the second church, this is all the gift aid that comes back. So if you get one payment from the HMRC, the program will tell you exactly how that is broken down for each particular church or each particular branch. So you just get the payment. If it's gone into one branch, if it's one consolidated payment from HMRC, you then know how to divide it amongst the different churches, if that's what you're going to do. It also means that when you're creating users, you can then say, this group user is a full charity user, they can have access to each of the branches, or this user is a user for a particular church, a particular branch. We just give them access to that. So how do you go about creating different users and limiting what they can see and the data, the church, the branch that they can see? Well, to do that, I'll go back to the dashboard and you go to Admin, User and Security, and then we've got Custom Roles and Permissions. And this is where you can create different permissions. You can see we've got Enter My Giving permissions. So these are the permissions that you can see just in My Giving. And then if they've also got access to see My Membership, you can then also edit the permissions for My Membership. So an assistant, you could give access just to My Giving. They can only see My Giving. Or if they're an assistant for both, maybe they enter people, they look after the membership and they look after the donations, you can set the permissions for both. I'm just going to go into edit this permissions, and you'll see how we've done it is we've replicated all of the menu options in MyGiving. So instead of having to think, which ones do I turn off, which options do I turn off, it's easy to visualize, or I find it easy to visualize, just turning menu options off. And then, they can't access masters, methods under masters, or they can't import anything, or they can't export. You can give access. Do you want them to view and edit donors? You can decide that. It might be you don't want them to do claims, you actually just want them to enter donations, and that's what you can do. You can set that permission, so this user with this assistant role can just enter donations, and you can see you can turn and turn off, turn on and turn off the options as you need. If I cancel that, so that's the role with the permissions that we've set. And then once you've set the role with the permissions, you can then go into users. You can then create a user. I'm actually just going to edit this one that we've turned off, marked as inactive. Oops, there we go. You can see, you can give them one of my roles. So there's the assistant that I had just set up. Whether you give them access to my giving and to my membership, you can decide. Give them a name, give a username, enter their address or the church or charity address, set the postcode, and that's it. You can then give them their user ID, their password, and then edit data access. You can then decide, do they have access to everything, the whole charity, all the branches, all the churches within it? If you don't want that, you can then say, actually, I just want them to have access to Data Valence 2 branch, and that is the only one that they would then have access to. I'm going to set this one back to all. And then you give David James his user ID, his password, the website MyGiving.Online for him to log into, and then he logs into the system. As soon as he's logged in, he can go to My Profile and change the password. And he can change it to a password that he prefers. You can't access that password, so we can't see what people set as their password. As a user, as the admin user, you wouldn't be able to see it. The most you'd be able to do, if they absolutely forgot the password, couldn't remember what the password question was, you could reset the password for them, tell them what the temporary password is, they could log in, and again, they could then go and change it. So that's creating users. That's some of the visuals that look very similar to Donations Coordinator. You can see you've got the same sort of donations, so enter donations individually in a grid by name, envelope or reference, managing regular donations, add and edit, all those work in a very similar way to Donations Coordinator. But as we saw with the donor screen, they work in a similar way, but it's been refreshed with a more modern look in there. But essentially it works the same way. So how do you get your information in? Well, instead of having to sit down and re-enter everything in, would be a very time-consuming and laborious process. Instead, you can import from Donations Coordinator. You can simply import your data. You'd make an unencrypted backup of your Donations Coordinator, your current Donations Coordinator. If it's brand new that you're starting MyGiving, you simply select Overwrite, Import as Charity, choose File, select your Donations Coordinator backup, and then click Import. And we trigger the import. We actually do all the imports overnight. We have a number of churches and charities upgrading from Donations Coordinator to MyGiving. So instead of running them during the day, which might slow the server down with people running at the time, because we have such a number, we actually run them overnight. So you choose import, it will come up with a message saying, are you happy with this? Trigger the import to go if you are. It's then queued up for the night, it's then upgraded or imported overnight, and next morning all of your information will be there. So all of your donors, all of the donations, all the historical information, all the previous claims. So it will be an exact replication of the data in Donations Coordinator replicated in MyGiving. So you can literally finish entering donations one day in Donations Coordinator. The next day you can start in my membership. All of your purposes will be pulled over, all of your methods will be pulled over. I've said your donations, your claims, your claim history, all of that will be pulled over, so you can immediately start entering the information in MyGiving. But how do you enter the information? How would you enter donations? Well, I've just briefly mentioned that the gifts menu, it goes through, it's the very similar or same process as Donations Coordinator. So I won't go through that because apart from the screens looking similar, looking refreshed, it works in a very similar process. One of the ways that we've got entered to save time is actually importing donations directly from your bank statement. So instead of having to set them up as a regular donation as you would do in donations code at the moment, you can simply import them directly from a bank statement. The advantage of that is if the donor gave it on a slightly different day, maybe they normally give on the first of the month, but the first of the month, say January, happened to be a bank holiday and it comes in the second, when you import from the bank statement, it will automatically show the 2nd of January. If the donor changes their amount, let's say they increase the amount, it will show the updated amount that they've given. So all those changes that you might need to make in Donations Coordinator, through putting them in directly from the bank statement, it's done automatically for you. So let's have a look at that. If I go to Import, you can see you can import donors from Excel or CSV file. If you've got some additional donors that you want to add in, you don't need to enter them, you can import them in. Donations, if you've got donations in Excel or CSV, some people use that. So some people will have assistants, volunteers that will enter all the donations in a spreadsheet or CSV. You can import those in. If you use a parish giving scheme, you can import those, Just Giving, GoCardless and PayPal, a more automated process now. But I want to go down to bank statement and import CSV. So each different bank has a different format for how they export their CSV. So sometimes the date might be first, or other times it might be the description, the transaction description first and the date further on. So you can add a template which just tells MyGiving, this is where the donations start and this is how it's structured. Date first, description, and donation amount, etc. Now I think mine is set up for this one, so I'm going to pick, and then you download the bank statement. So let me go and have a look. Where's my drive? See, there it is. And I should have one. Let's try that one. So pick the file and then click import. And here you'll see where it's remembered the donor before. So where we've imported donations before, we can tell MyGiving to remember the connection. So you can see here, it knows the David Duggan donation. So the information from here across is from our bank statement. From here to the left is MyGiving. So you can see it's already spotted that David Duggan appears in the transaction description. So it knows what to do with it. David Duggan, it's a general fund and it's the method standing order. We've got the same with Adam Blue. And then we've got the same for Stephen Hendy. Some of the names don't match up just because it's a test one. I haven't gone through and carefully matched them. So let's say I want to import those three. I'll just tick to import them. Here we've got a new one. So Sophie Baxter, maybe this is the start of a regular donation. So maybe this is the first donation we've received from Sophie. We know it's going to be regular. We want to remember it in future. So we're going to say, select the donor. I'm going to say, let's see if I've got Baxter in. I can't remember if I have. I haven't, so let me just pick any donor. Let's say it's Paul Apple. And then I'm going to say the information I want to remember it on is transaction description, and the keyword is simply Sophie Baxter. So we'll just record that down there. So next time it sees the description Sophie Baxter, it knows in our case it's going to post it against Paul Apple's record. It's a general fund. Let's pick a different fund. Let's say it's going to the fabric, and it is a standing order. So we're going to say standing order, and we'll tick to say yes, we do want to import it. So you can see you need to do that step for the first time donors appear on the bank statement. But after that, as with these three, it remembers a connection. It knows what needs to do with them. So we can then say, yep, we're happy with all of those. We can import the donations. Bank statements imported. Do you want an audit report for your records? Well, you can save it as a PDF if you want it on your computer. If you want it printed out for your folder, you can do that. I'm going to say on this occasion, no, I don't. And that's it. That's that bank statement imported. So if you've got a bank statement with, say, 100 donors on or 50 donors, that's a much quicker way of being able to import them in. The first time, yes, you match them to the individual donor records. Next time, it knows what to do with them. There's a tick to say select all if you wish, and you can then import them all directly across. And I'll go back to the dashboard. But what about other ways? Well, I mentioned earlier that we've got donate now buttons in MyGiving. Excuse me. We've got donate now buttons in MyGiving, and these can be pasted onto your website. So we provide all the code for the donate now buttons. All you need to do is there's a link, and I'll show you a bit later on. You just copy the link and then go into the code of your website and just paste it where you want it to go. And the button and all the workings around it will appear automatically for you. And it will be linked to your MyGiving account. So any donor that donates through the Donate Now button will appear as a donor record in MyGiving. The donation will appear. If they've said yes, you can claim gift aid on this, all the declaration details will appear, and you can simply click straight to submit a claim, and it will include that information in. But let's have a look at that. So I'm going to go to our demo page. Oops. Let me just share our demo page, which is that one. And you can see we've got different donate now buttons. So these represent the different donate buttons that are available in MyGiving. So we've got one for credit card, debit card. It also does PayPal donations as well. We've got a Stripe account. So if you've got an account with Stripe, you can link that to your donate now button. So that's mainly debit card and credit card. We've got one where you can set up regular direct debits and also direct bank transfers, so sometimes called open banking donations, but essentially it's transferring donation from a donor bank account to your bank account. Much cheaper option and much quicker because the money goes straight into your bank account. But we'll go through these different donate options now. So I'll have a look at the first one. So the donate now with the debit and credit cards. Now you see at the moment we've got one of our blue data developments logos. That's called branding, and again I'll show you in a moment where you can put your own branding on. So it would normally be a white screen, but if you want to put your logo or picture of your church or charity on there or something else behind, you can set that as branding and then it will appear automatically for you. So I'm going to pretend I'm a donor, so I'll put an email address in. That's my postcode in. Comes with a full lookup system, so the donor just enters the postcode, clicks their address, and it enters the details in. They can then click on the next. You can set these predefined donation amounts. So we've put 5, 10, and 15. You can put whatever amounts that you want, and the donor can just click on the amount they want to donate, or they can type in more specifically the amount that they want to donate. How they're paying could be debit, credit card, or PayPal if you've got that option. Who they're donating to. Now that would display the name of your church or charity down there. It's got data rooms just because it's our demo account. And then for purposes, you can choose which purposes the donor gets to choose when they want to make the donation. It might be, for example, it might be that you just want to show them, say, the general fund, so they can only donate to the general purpose. Or it might be on a different page Let's say you're doing some outreach work, or you're doing a collection for food bank, that you have a purpose for food bank, and they can just select for the food bank purpose. But you can see you can choose which ones you do and you don't show. So I'm going to say general fund. And then down here, we've got this next question is an optional question. You can decide, do you want to ask the donor this? And it's essentially saying, would you like to increase your donation to cover the transaction fee? And in other words, further support. So you would then, as a church or charity, you would receive the full £10 donation because the donor's given a little bit more to cover the transaction fee. And we'll say, yes, we do. And then we can also say, or the donor can say, I want to gift aid my donation. If they do that, there are a couple of the check questions that HMRC require us to ask. So is it a donation of your own money? It isn't from the proceeds of a sale or sponsored event, and you're not receiving any benefit. It's not a ticket to an event. So we're going to say yes to all of those and click on next. This is when the donor will then enter their card details. So enter their 3-digit number from the back, expiry dates, and then just confirm that they're not a robot. They can click and then donate by card. Now, if their bank, so if their credit card company decide that actually we want to do a bit more checks on this, which is quite often comes up nowadays, then it will automatically come up with this option. So there's nothing you need to program in to do that. If the bank asks for it, it will come up automatically, and then they can click submit. And that's a donation made. Now we've had it come back to this landing page. You can have it come back to whatever landing page you wish. And if I then go back into my giving, you'll now see that we've got a notification tab at the top of the screen. If I click onto that, oops. So let me just, if I click onto that, there we go. So it's now updated. There we can see Robert Harrington. There's the donation that we've just received. If I go back to the dashboard, if I go to donor records and I'll search for Harrington, there it is. You can see it's automatically added the donor into the system. There we can see the donation ticked to say that we can claim gift aid. It was so the donor ticked on the website that we can claim gift aid. So again, if the HMRC have got any queries, you can say, no, we haven't got a physical gift aid declaration form because they ticked it from the website. And if I go to declaration defaults, you can see here the declaration date is the date that they completed the donate now button with the 17th of July. Again, if they do another donate button, donation at a different date, it would automatically archive the existing donation. That would appear in declaration history, and then the new declaration date would appear there. So again, you've got your full declaration history shown down there. So that was doing it through debit or credit card, but you saw there we had a number of different options. So if I go through, I'll skip over Stripe because that works in the same way. It's just using Stripe instead of the PayPal and credit debit card one. If I go through direct debits, you can set up direct debits, or you can have it on your website that people can make regular donations to your organization. So again, you've got the branding in the background. Again, the donor would enter those details in. So let's have a think. If Charlie, Charlie Jameson. Again, they're putting their postcode, W106QA. It then looks it up. They can then pick their address. They can put in their email address. Click on next. Now these amounts, you can set these up again in a moment. I'll show you where you set these up in the program, but you can have it as £10 monthly, £5 weekly, £20 monthly. You can decide these different options. And you'll also see on the right hand side, we've got an option for annual increase. And what that means is if somebody gave £10 now, this option, you can decide whether to show this question or to ask this question or not. It's entirely your decision, and it's entirely your decision the percentage rate that you put on. So if the donor says, yes, I'm going to donate £10 a month and I'll increase that 5% each year. Now, 5% is the amount we have to show because it'll be calculated 5% in this example. What you can also decide to show is actually that will represent, or that will mean a 50p per month increase after 12 months. Now, our research has found that if we leave it as 5%, people go, oh, 5% sounds a lot, a large increase. No, I won't do it. If you actually put the amount in, if you show that shows a 50p per month increase, actually people are more likely to go, well, that's more affordable. Actually, I can do that. I can commit to doing that. So just putting the amount in is more likely to increase it. But as a user, there's nothing else you need to do. If the donor decides to, yes, I want to donate £10, yes, I want to do the annual increase, for the first 12 months, it'll be £10. And then the system will automatically update it at the end of 12 months, if you like, month 13, to being £10.50, or do all the communication with the donor. So inform them beforehand that your donation amount is about to change to £10.50. Are you happy to go ahead with this? Do you want to update it? Do you want to change it? If they don't, then it goes £10.50. And then 12 months after that, it'll go, your donation is about to increase by whatever it may be, another 55p. Again, all that's done automatically for you. You don't need to do any of that. You've got the same sort of options. Do you want to gift aid it? Do you want to increase the donation to cover the donation fee? You can see down here, it'll be 36p. I'm not going to send any of those to you this time. I'm going to say, I'm not a robot, and click on continue. Oops, I've missed something else. Let's just have a look. Oh, I haven't selected the purpose. So let's say this is for the fabric. And then continue. It then comes up with the direct debit form. So you're going to set a direct debit, and that would then have your church or your charity name listed down there, so the donor can see they're making a donation to you. It's got the full direct debit guarantee. It will automatically bring across their name, their email address that they've used, entered, and their address. We'll click on continue. It's got their account name. They can update that if maybe it's a joint account maybe that they need to put the full name in. They can put that in. They put in their sort code, their account number, or they can put in the IBAN number if they've got that instead. It's then confirming the information. There's a tick box to confirm a single authorization. So if they remove that tick, then it does a dual authorization process. Otherwise, they click set up direct debit. And that's now set up for them. That's set up, you see, in My Giving. It's set up through GoCardless, is the company we use to handle all the direct debits, and that will then process through automatically for you. So within a couple of days, you'll receive the first direct debit of £10 a month. That will come in monthly, and then after 12 months, that will automatically update to, what's it, £10.50p. We can have a look at that. If I click back on Share This tab instead, and I'll go back to the donor screen. Actually, I could have stayed in those donor records, and then go to, is it Jameson? Charlie Jameson. And there it is. And if I go down to their regular gifts tab, you see we haven't set it up as yet. So we haven't received the donations yet. You see, this is when it's due to start. So a couple of days in advance of today's date. It's monthly to the Fabric Fund direct debit £10, and we said no, we can't claim tax on it. You can see above it's pulled in all of their information, their name and address, and then automatically when the donation is received, so on the 21st of July for that date, then that donation will automatically appear on this regular gift screen, on this gift screen at the bottom. So you can see it's when it appears, and then it'll appear automatically in the claim. So if you want to do a claim, there's nothing else you need to do to the record. The donors created the donate record through the donate now button. You create a record, and then if they'd signed a declaration when the donation came in, you then go straight through to clicking the claim. I will just go through the last option quite quickly. We can see it will work exactly the same way. It will create the donor record. If they sign a declaration, it will create that, and that will be included. But just to show what this one does, which is slightly different, so they can pick their title, they can enter their name, enter their email address, their postcode exactly the same as with the other ones. To look up, they can pick their address. Next, again, you can set up the amounts that are shown, or they can pick other amounts. This time we've got it locked down to a particular purpose. So you can see they can't select a different purpose, it's just general. They can again cover the donation, gift aid it if they want. Now for this one, this is using open banking, so it will literally be donating from the donor's bank account to your church or your charity's bank account. So it just gives them the information. We use an organisation called TrueLayer to handle that. They're fully regulated to be able to handle those sorts of transactions. So I'm going to say I'm not a robot and click continue. Now this is going through to our demo bank. So actually what we'd have here is around 100, 200 UK banks, and they would simply click onto their particular bank and then log in to their bank through their information. As a user of MyGiving, you don't see any information. MyGiving itself, we don't have any access to this. If you're on the live server, you'll see that it goes through to the NatWest bank account, the Lloyds bank account. All MyGiving receive, all that you will receive is a notification say, yes, this has been paid successfully. We don't see anything else. So I'm going to go into our mock bank, and then let me just put in these test ones, test details. So whatever they use to log into their bank is what they'd enter at this point. It's confirming that you're paying your church or your charity, the amount, the reference it will give, and then which bank account they want to make the payment from, and then click continue. So that's done the payment. You see, it was redirecting back to data Venoms because we would have been on their the bank's bank account. It transfers it and does all that side, and then it comes back and it says, yes, it's been successful. That donor, that donation will now appear in MyGiving. So let's go back to MyGiving, share this tab instead. Let me scroll up and go back to the dashboard. Okay, and I'm just going to go through how we set up some of those. So those are all under the charities, and if I just go into this one, for example, edit charitable settings. Now there are a couple of things that are different in the edit charity details over and above my donations coordinator. So you see the first part is similar, so how you're claiming agent, authorised official, central, and down here if you're an agent you can put your agent details in. If you're authorised official, you can put in your authorised official details, and you can also put in your charities online. That's all to enable claims to be submitted directly to HMRC. You can see that we've got a check question here. because it's not just 4 years that you can claim donations on. You can claim 4 years and a bit more. So depending on whether you're an accepted charity, whether you're CIO, depends whether you can go back to the beginning of the tax year, so 4 years plus a period back to the beginning of the tax year, or 4 years plus the beginning and back to the beginning of your financial year. So again, it's all about MyGiving maximising the amount of gift aid that you can claim, gift aid and GADs that you can claim. So that's why we do the checks, that's why we do the gift aid, the GADs. But this is another one that if you're catching up, again, it's maximising everything you can claim, legitimately claim from the HMRC. But the Donate Now buttons, they're under third-party integration. And to do it, you create, for the example of direct debits, that's under Go Cardless, you create a direct debit account. This would actually say login, and then you'd log in to your direct debit account, to your Go Cardless account. That would link Go Cardless to MyGiving. That's all you need to do. To generate a button to paste onto your website, you'd either click Generate Donate Now button, or depending on what type of website it is, if it's a WordPress, for example, then, or if it's a church near you website, you'd use the Donate Now link. But again, the process is still the same. You paste it on. If you are a charity with a number of different branches, if you're a parish with a number of different churches, you can create separate buttons for each of your different branches or each of your different churches, so they can have their own particular button on their own website or web page. But it's all controlled through one access. So you don't need to create merchant accounts for each of your different branches or each of your different churches. It's controlled at the charity level, the legal level, but then MyGiving will create different buttons for the different churches or branches. Similarly, I said you could limit it to a particular purpose. This is on the right hand side where you can say which purpose do I want this particular donate button linked to. You can also generate QR codes for the button, so you can say for this button generate a QR code, and that can be printed out on leaflets, posters, service sheets, etc. So someone can scan it and go take you to the Donate Now button and make the donation. After they made the donation, where do you want them to go to? So it could be your home website, and that's where you can put in that link there. The transaction fee, I said you can decide whether you want to ask the donor to increase the donation to include the transaction fee. That's where you can decide yes or no, I want to include it. And you've got the same sort of details for Stripe, for Braintree, which is doing the credit card, debit card donations, and with PayPal. You see here we could choose to enable PayPal with the donations, and we've got a couple of additional options if you want to, for sending email verification. So when a donor donates, we send them an email to verify it and then accept the donation, or you can have maximum donations per day or failed donation limits. So again, you can see you've got a lot of tailoring that you can do. With the open banking, it's your bank details that you need to enter in there. But again, you can see you've got all the Donate Now buttons linked in there for you. I mentioned also about banding. There we can see, so let me just close up this third-party integration. There we go. And there you can see banding. So if you want to enter your own banding, you saw that we had behind the Donate Now buttons, we had the blue Dataman's logo. You can choose a file, you can pick your own particular image band that you want to include onto the Donate Now button, and that will be seen. As you can see, do you want it seen by donors? And that would include that shown around there. I'm going to cancel that and go back to this screen. So this is where we had the charities. This is also where you can set up the regular donations plans. Actually, let me go back. I thought it was against that one. Maybe it's against Hope Church. No, it must be a different one. So this is where we had under the direct debit option. This is where you had it was £10. How often is it? You can set the frequency, and then you can set the percentage increase, 5%, for example. Well, let me set the method. So this is going to be direct debit. And then that's where you can have, do you want to show it as a percent only, 5% only, or as a percent and the amount, 5% and the 50p down there as well. And then if it's a one-off fee, so if it's a percentage plus a transaction fee, you can put that in there as well, and that'll calculate it all for you. So that's where you can set up those direct debit donations, click on save, and that will then do all that for you. The claim process is very similar to Donations Coordinator. I will just very quickly go into it, and you'll see that it is almost exactly the same. You see how this is a trial one, so I can't submit. The difference being here is where you can select if you want to submit a claim for everyone. You just click on that if you've got permissions to see everyone, that is. If it's just for one, you can just click on one. So you can do claim for a church, or you can do it for the whole group of branches, group of churches together, if you've got the access rights to see all those. So it'd really be the charity level or the administrator for all the groups that will do that. So I could do select all. As with donations coordinating, claim and gift aid in claim and guides, you can preview the claim before you submit it, and then you can process. If there are refunds, then you can add the refunds in automatically, and then again they'll be submitted across. Same as with donations coordinators, I'm not really going to go into it. You can add your anonymous or your GADS donations. They can be all listed down, added and all listed down here, and they'll be included in the claims as well. So your loose plate collections, your donations from donors that don't pay tax or haven't signed declaration, £30 or less as cash or contactless, you can add all those in and then it'll be claimed. Again, go back to contactless. If you're using a sum up that's linked to Give a Little, all those that come through contactless donations that fit in the range, £30 or less, and anonymous, or the donor hasn't signed a declaration, then it put those in automatically as gift aid. And what you can also, if I go back and go to claims, we've got track live claims as well. So it won't show any because this is a demo one. I haven't submitted any claims, but if I had, it would show me when I submitted the claim, who it was for, the claim number in case I need to phone up HMRC, the status, has it been submitted, has it been received, have HMRC confirmed it, how much gift aid I was claiming, how much guards net, the claim amount, and then the adjustments there. So again, you've got all those details within the system for you. And just actually whilst I'm on this screen, we saw the notification tag. We saw these are little help videos. So on different screens, you'll see a little video clip, and that's like a YouTube style video clip for help on that particular screens. We will be updating those because we've added a number of features, additional features into MyGiving since we first created those. So we'll be updating those. But also what we've got is a change log. If I click onto that, that will show all the different changes that we've done in MyGiving and when they were done. So you can see, if you want to check that every now and again, if you want to check that, you can see the work, the updates that were going on in MyGiving. And you can also see, as I mentioned earlier, the suggestion box. So this is an easy way. You can just click onto it, type in your suggestion. You can see it's anonymous. We don't know who it's from. You can put your name in the suggestion box if you wish, and we can come back to you on that if you've got any queries. But otherwise, you can just enter your suggestion, and each suggestion is valued. It really is, and it's reviewed by our developers for look to whether we can include it, whether we should change something, whether we should update it. Every single suggestion is looked at. Okay, and just finally on this, you'll see at the bottom we've got some options. Now, this is because I'm in a multi-version, so I get to select the church, or sorry, the charity, the branch, and then the year I want to report on. If you're a single one, these ones would be pre-selected. So you can pick, I could pick the branch, and then if I wanted to, I could pick the year. You see, I haven't got any claim history because it's a trial account. I haven't submitted anything. But you can see the breakdown, depending on what year I choose, of how much we received as gift-aided donations, as GADs, as unclaimable ones, how much refunds we've received for that. Again, that's just a snapshot. It's a very quick way of seeing, well, if we've got this amount of gift-aided donations, but you can see here we haven't submitted any tax refunds, well, that might be just a notice to go, actually, I really must submit that. Or if I've got all these donations and gift aids and GADs that I've got, you can see the amounts, but I haven't got a claim that's fully submits that or balances that, then actually maybe it's worthwhile doing a tax claim. So that's just a snapshot. So you can go, yes, either I have done the claim, I'm up to date with my tax refunds, or actually I need to do another donation. And then this can be really useful, and this is really why we've got the option to select a year. You can select, excuse me, and you can download this information so you can see how your donation split changed over the years. So you can see how much you've received through Braintree, through external, through check, cash, Stripe, TrueLayer, standing order, direct debit. All of those you can set under your method, and then you can pull those in. So when you record a donation, you record, well, this one, well, the program does it against Braintree or Stripe or direct debit automatically. But the other ones, check, cash, you can set those when you enter the donation, and it will give you this split, and you can see how that changes over time. Are your cash donations going down, but your online donations, your debit credit card donations going up? So do you need to put those QR codes in more places to encourage more people to donate? Or because the cost of living crisis, have your cash donations increased because people are more using cash? So again, it gives you that idea of where donors are making most of their donations. And over the left-hand side, you can see then a breakdown of how the donations are given by purpose. So are more people given to specific purposes? Well, the gift aid on those building purpose, for example, will be restricted to building purpose. So again, you can see that split as to how the donations are giving. Again, that's all done by the year. That's done by the year that you select. Just over there. Oops. So if I go back up to the top of the dashboard, so we spent about an hour on the preview of the upgrade and the changes, and we focused mainly in this hour on the changes, the new features, those features that have been updated from Donations Coordinator. We haven't by a long shot gone through all the facilities in MyGiving, primarily because there's a lot of crossover between Donations Coordinator and MyGiving. If you're used to Donations Coordinator, then it's got the same facilities in MyGiving as it has in Donations Coordinator. So if you can enter donations against donor records in donor screens in Donations Coordinator, you can do that in MyGiving. So we haven't gone through those options because as in Donations Coordinator, you can do the in MyGiving. It's just got a more modern and refresh view for it, which we kind of had a look first of all, and then you can see we've gone through those new and additional features over and above and Donations Coordinator. So if I stop my screen sharing for a moment and then just go on, we've got one final screen that gives you the information about. So I hope that's been useful. If you've got any queries, you've got our support email address there, so support@datadevelopments.co.uk. You've got our phone number. Please feel free to give us a call on 01902 714 030, and you've got our website for more information. If you want a trial, if you want to try the software, you can try it free of charge for 30 days. You can upload, if you want, all of your donations coordinator backup, so you can try MyGiving with your live data. No debit card, no credit card details are taken, so we're not suddenly going to debit money from your account at the end of 30 days. If you don't want to go ahead with it, that's entirely your decision. And at the end of 30 days, you'll simply lose access. And not long after that, then all that information will then be wiped from our systems in there. So it won't be kept on there for forever. It will automatically be removed. But if you do want to, then you've got the information, you've pulled the information to the donations coordinator. You can sign up online with a direct debit to set up the payment, and then the process just carries on. It simply just converts from a trial account to a live account, but you can retain all the information. So none of the work that you've done, if you don't want it to, will be lost. Alternatively, it might be that you just put sample information in. So at the end of 30 days, you've signed up, you can then pull your donations coordinator in and go live from there. As I said, it doesn't matter what point in the year you do it, it pulls all the information in from donations coordinator, so you can literally finish entering donations in one day in donations coordinator, upload it into MyGiving, the next day you can start on MyGiving. But that's a QR code, or you can call us and we can set you up online with a trial account. But also, just a note for a couple of other things that we do. So we also do gift aid and GADS training. So it's free training, and it doesn't actually do anything with our program. It's more about the regulations and requirements of HMRC, gift aid and GADS. So what you can claim on, what you can't claim on, what is gift aid, what do the HMRC do when they do an audit, or what things are they looking for, what's GADS, how's GADS different to gift aid. All of those sort of questions we include in the training. So if you want more information on that, so those training dates come up regularly throughout the year, just go to the training page on our website, www.datadevelopments.co.uk, click on training. It's free to register. The gift aid one is over 3 weeks. You can see what's on each week. You can register for each week or the entire course. It's entirely up to you. But out of that course, we had a chat facility and people would ask all sorts of questions about gift aid and GADS. So we do the same sort of training for treasurers, for fund accounting, and we found that actually people were very engaged and wanted to ask questions, but also wanted to ask questions outside of the webinar. So we've created on Facebook a gift aid and GADS support group. You can click to register click to join the group. We monitor that and we moderate the text. But that's really, Data Events tends to keep a background because the group is very much for gift aid people supporting gift aid people. It's not a data development software group. It is more about gift aid people supporting gift aid people. So if someone says, well, we've got this user and we've got this donor, they've signed this, can I claim on this, or how do I handle this in terms of claiming? It's those sort of things. Can I claim on this? Can't I claim on that? It's those sort of queries that people just pop up, ask the question, either you or somebody else say, well, we had a similar situation, this is what we did. It's that sort of support group. It's free to join, rather like our free gift aid training. So if you want to join that, again, you're more than welcome. Search Facebook for our gift aid and GADS support group. Just put that into the search box with the group. You'll see it, and then you can request to join. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's been useful for you. Please feel free to try the 30-day trial out. And if you have any queries, please just drop us an email or give us a call. Many thanks.